Good Day Orlando starts now with breaking news.
Well, we start this morning with some breaking news. This video right here shows people running for their lives in downtown Orlando. This is in Wall Street as people celebrated Halloween. It's 4 o'clock, everybody, and I'm Deborah Cho. Fox 35's Marley Capper is live at the scene with the latest this morning. And Marley, it is still a very active scene. I can see crime scene tape behind you. What else do we know? Do we know if anybody was hurt?
Deborah, we're still working to learn that information. We are on Church and Orange, and you guys can see way down there, it is an active scene. They have this crime scene tape set up for blocks. I was on the other side of that maybe 10 minutes ago. Very active scene. I could see the crime scene investigations unit there. Lots of officers scouring the streets, looking for evidence, talking to people. I talked to a few people this morning. 2 people were bartenders, and they said that it happened right outside of their bar, that they closed the doors and that they had to hide behind the bar. It was a very scary, intense moment. Then I talked to another woman who it took her hours to get back to her car because of everything. She said that some places were closing their doors, some places were making people leave, so she kind of got held up and everything, and it took her a while to get to her car. She said it was a very scary morning today. Obviously, this is not what you want to have happen. She said a lot of people come down to downtown Orlando every single year to celebrate Halloween. That's what she was doing as well. Now, I talked to a lot of people this morning who were in their Halloween costumes still at 2 in the morning, walking around trying to figure out how to get home, how do I get to my car, what's going on. Here's what one person had to say.
Multiple gunshots, firing. It was really loud. Everybody was scared. Everybody was running in multiple directions. Nobody knew what was going on until people were either saying to stay indoors or to get out. Certain clubs were kicking people out. Certain clubs were locking everyone in.
She said that it was a very scary moment. Of course, you don't want this thing to kind of happen when you are trying to have fun with people downtown and celebrate, not the way that people wanted to have their Halloween go at all. Now, we're still working to learn more about who, if anybody, was hurt. Definitely praying for everybody in this situation. Very tense, very traumatic experience for lots of people. We saw people on the side of the street crying. So definitely lots to learn, but we're going to stick with you guys all morning. So make sure to stick with Fox 35 for the facts and the updates as soon as they become available. But for now, Deborah, reporting live in downtown Orlando, Marley Capper, Fox 35 News.
All right, Marley, thanks so much. Yeah, obviously a very frightening scene, especially with so many people celebrating Halloween last night. Within the last few minutes, Congressman Maxwell Frost posted this on X. He says, quote, "Please stay clear of downtown Orlando. Reports of a shooting with multiple people hit. Stay safe," end quote. Again, we are reaching out to police to confirm if there were any injuries related to this. And of course, we'll continue to bring you the latest updates as we learn more. Well, the time now is 4:03. Let's go ahead and shift gears this morning to talk about the weather, because people are still going to get out today. They got to go to work. So weather-wise, how's it looking?
Well, it's looking all right today. We've got a couple of showers out there possible, but otherwise, very nice. We had a very pleasant Halloween evening weather-wise, and now we've got a nice Friday morning. This 1st of November. 66 degrees at Lake Fairview right now. It's 61 in Gainesville, 74 at Cocoa Beach, 70 degrees in the Kissimmee area. All right, let's get you out the door this morning. We've got a pretty nice day ahead here, and as far as our high temperatures go, like yesterday, we'll top out in the lower to middle 80s. But at 6 a.m., 68 degrees. At 10, 76. Weather will not be a factor today in your plans. Coming up, though, we've got to keep a closer eye on the tropics. Well, right now there is nothing going on. There's no storm to track. There's a potential based on our computer models now in 2 locations in the same general area of development. A 60% chance zone in the Caribbean Sea, and in the extreme southwest Atlantic, a 10% chance zone. We might actually see these 2 systems kind of merging into one big rainmaker for parts of the Gulf of Mexico. I'll show you where that's likely to go and what impacts we may experience here coming up. Deborah.
All righty, Brooks, thank you. Well, now to a Fox 35 exclusive. A widow is feeling lots of emotions after her and her husband were scammed out of thousands of dollars from their caretaker. She says it took about a year for Volusia County deputies to finally find the suspect. Fox 35's Hannah McKenzie has details for us this morning. Well, Linda told us she doubts that she's going to recoup any of that stolen money, but she's hopeful her story will serve as a warning to others to monitor your finances. And if you hire someone to work for you, do a background check. Time now is 4:06. This 18-year-old accused of abusing animals will stay behind bars in Brevard County. Kieran McKinney is accused of throwing one cat off a balcony and waterboarding another. He tried to get his bond lowered, but the judge refused yesterday. Now, in this video, you can actually see the suspect allegedly trapping a cat in a crate and spraying it with water. The sheriff's office says this cat was thrown more than 45 feet from a balcony and then broke its leg. A witness told deputies the suspect has a history of hurting cats, and on a different occasion, he even slammed a cat in the ground. McKinney's attorneys argued that he is depressed. A judge set his bond at $80,000. Time now is 4:09, and a major development this morning. Orlando Magic player Paolo Banchero is out for the season indefinitely. Definitely not a good news that we want to hear this morning. He has a torn right oblique. Banchero injured himself during the fourth quarter of the Magic's matchup against Chicago on Wednesday. Well, after undergoing some tests, doctors determined that he will not be able to play. His return will depend on how he responds to treatment. Banchero will be reevaluated in about 4 to 6 weeks. So wishing him a speedy and healthy recovery. Well, coming up next on Good Day Orlando, 2 words any Floridian hates: red tide. But guess what? It's popping up on more beaches again. But researchers say it may not be as bad as you think. So we're going to tell you why. Plus, a truck driver saves a couple as water rises during Hurricane Milton. More on the big achievement he is now receiving for his historic rescue. And live look through our downtown Orlando camera this morning, where we are still monitoring that breaking news from overnight, where a shooting was reported in the downtown area as hundreds and hundreds of people were celebrating Halloween right near the Church Street area. We do know the shots were fired probably around 1 o'clock this morning, and we do have multiple crews on the scene trying to get the latest information. So stay away from the downtown area if you can. Of course, we're continuing to monitor the situation. The time now is 4:10. We'll be right back. Join us for the Fox 35 Feed-a-thon at this Walmart Supercenter.
Friday, November the 8th. Help us fill up this truck with food to help families in need.
Please drop off donations at the Fox 35 Feed-a-thon.
Friday, November the 8th.
I'm a weather nut. I've been a weather nut as long as I can remember. I love giving facts about weather history and where we are climatologically. Weather can be scary. I'm looking out for you. I'm Noah Bergeron, and you can depend on the Fox 35 Storm Team.
Welcome back. Time now is 4:13, and trouble is brewing throughout the world's oceans as scientists sound the alarm over escalating destruction to critical coral reefs. Now, environmental experts are demanding emergency action. This is all after research from the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, shows 77% of the world's coral reefs are affected by bleaching. Now, coral bleaching is a process where higher water temperatures cause coral to release their algae, and then they turn white. That's all to make them prone to disease and also death.
To avert catastrophic losses of reef life and function, we are issuing emergency calls to action to both state and private sector leaders to urgently accelerate action to stop local and global drivers of decline and scale cost-efficient solutions.
Now, coral reef ecosystems support more than 25% of marine life. They also benefit roughly 1 billion people who rely on them for sources of food, business, and buffers from coastal storm activities. Now, across Florida, you may not smell it or see it, but apparently red tide has been found off the coast of Florida's Gulf. Researchers are tracking the algae bloom, but new data suggests it actually might not be so bad. It comes as new samples collected near Sarasota and Pinellas County show medium counts of the algae, and dead fish have been spotted in canals in Venice, Florida. One researcher is reminding residents that these conditions are not something to panic over quite yet.
On those 3 islands, at least, not really seeing any evidence of red tide along our beaches, and we're not picking it up in our bay either. Doesn't mean it's not there. It's just, it's certainly not big enough to interfere with your vacation or your weekend.
Now, FWC is continuing to monitor the issue. The red tide map is updated every day. Well, new this morning, a semi-truck driver is being called an angel for saving a Plant City couple from floodwaters during the height of Hurricane Milton. Well, that trucker risked his own life to save others and received national recognition for it. Fox 35's Genevieve Curtis has the heroic story. Wow, well, I'm glad he's okay. And by the way, that was Genevieve Curtis reporting for us. Okay, switching gears, it's official. Winter has arrived, but not where you would think. Hawaii. How about that? Believe it or not, the Big Island actually does get snow, and it got some snow on the summit of Mauna Kea. That is the highest point on the island. That's about 14,000 feet. The National Weather Service says Hawaii's winter season begins in October and it lasts through April. And yeah, this is actually one of the shocking facts that people probably don't realize, Brooks, is that yes, there are mountains in Hawaii and they can get snow. I've been to several of the islands there and I was shocked when I heard that. So
yeah, 14,000 feet. That's
high.
You're getting up there.
Yeah, exactly.
The air is rarefied and it's much cooler. Yeah, that's always pretty funny to see when there's a winter storm warning for Hawaii. All right, let's look outside right now. We've got a couple of showers that are moving in from the east. So Brevard County and Osceola County now, some scattered showers, really light stuff. It's an indication of our flow off of the Atlantic, a southeast flow this morning. So around Harmony and St. Cloud, you're going to have some sprinkles on the windshield up and down the 192 corridor. Lake Fairview right now, we've got generally clear skies, a live view from our Grills Lakeside camera. We're at 67 degrees. Let's talk weather headlines on this Friday morning, November 1st. Stray showers today, but nice outside. The rip current risk will be high at the beaches this weekend. So if you have any beach plans, the water's going to be rough. A tropical system may form next week in the Gulf or Caribbean. In Orlando today, we're going to go from 67 degrees at 9 up to 83 degrees between 2 and 4 p.m. for another beautiful day. Right now it is 66 in Palm Coast. In Palm Bay right now and in Melbourne it's 72. It's 66 degrees right now in Sanford. Forecast highs today. In Sanford, we're going to top out at 84 degrees. Claremont 84. About 84 today also for Palm Bay. Just a beautiful day. Well, we've got daylight saving time coming to an end this weekend, and while today the sun rises at about 7:40 and sets at around 6:40, on Sunday the sun rises an hour earlier, about 6:39, and the sun sets close to 5:40. So it's going to be early to rise, but early to dark as well, that time of the year. All right, let's talk tropics. We've got a 60% chance in this orange zone of development over the next week, and now in this yellow zone, a 10% chance. We've got a tropical wave coming in from the east and a disturbance here in the Caribbean. So here's the bottom line, what you can expect. A system could form this weekend. It's not going to be two systems. It'd be one of the two, or they kind of merge. Could bring some rain to our region late next week. Nothing imminent, and I'm not expecting any kind of major tropical impacts here. We might see an uptick in the rain, though, if this tracks west of our region, which at this point looks more likely. The amount of ocean heat content to grow and maintain a storm is quite high here in the Caribbean, as is typical for this time of year, arguably a little hotter than normal. So that's for sure. But as far as the Gulf goes, we don't have that really favorable ocean heat content. So whatever tracks into the Gulf is not going to be able to maintain itself. In fact, it would likely weaken. So this isn't going to be a blockbuster system if it forms. But high pressure in the latest indication suggests maybe a little bit farther east, which may allow whatever forms here to track a little bit farther north and farther east, closer to our region. So we will know soon, but it's November now, so we're just not looking at the same kind of setup that we'd have during the peak of the hurricane season where everything's really warm. European model takes this thing toward the west. GFS model takes a little bit closer in. We'll talk much more about that coming up, but you'll see it reflected in the 7-day forecast. Okay, so we fall back for the end of daylight saving time Sunday morning at 2 a.m. Election day is on Tuesday, and we can have a couple of stray showers around, but Thursday would be our most likely impact from whatever tries to form in the Caribbean. All right, let's take a look at our Skyfox traffic this morning. We're looking at pretty normal conditions. In the green, looks like a little bit of a traffic backup on I-4 inbound as you're coming in from Champions Gate. This is going to be around the Disney area. And in fact, it's about a 9 to 10 minute slowdown, typically a 15-minute drive from the attractions to downtown. Now it takes 26 minutes. So we've got a little bit of action going on out there. And that's also going to slow us down from Champions Gate to downtown by a factor of about 7 to 10 minutes. All right, Deborah, we'll have a look at this traffic, of course, as we head deeper into the morning on this Friday, November 1st coming up.
All righty. Thank you, Brooks. Well, coming up on Good Day Orlando, Boeing is looking to end the ongoing strike with thousands of workers off the job. We have details on the new deal they are proposing, plus this.
Halloween treat for house hunters. We reveal the trick to securing a lower mortgage rate. I'm Jerry Willis with the Fox Business Network. More coming up.
And taking a live look through our downtown Orlando camera this morning, where we are still monitoring that breaking news from overnight. Large police presence is still in the downtown area. Then this is near Church Street after a shooting investigation is underway. Shots were fired around 1 o'clock as lots of people were downtown celebrating Halloween. We have multiple crews still on the scene. You can still see crime scene tape all over the floors there. We'll have another live update here coming up in just a little bit. The time now is 4:22. Welcome back. The time now is 4:25. The stock market suffered a tech-led sell-off on the final day of October. Fox's Jerry Willis has this story and more in your Fox Means Business Report. Well, in your business watch this morning, Boeing is hoping a new wage offer can bring an end to a union strike. Now, the new proposal would raise wages 38% over 4 years to the workers' union. The new offer is up from the 25% pay raise proposal that was earlier rejected by the union. The union now has been on strike since September 13th and will vote on the deal on Monday. Well, new claims for unemployment benefits are again reflecting companies are reluctant to cut staff. The number of new claims declined to 216,000 last week, a 5-month low. Those remaining on benefits also dropped to about 1.86 million. It's the third straight week of weekly declines. Well, we have a lot more news to get to this morning on Good Day Orlando, and here's what we're working on in our next half hour. Of course, we are following that breaking news out of downtown Orlando. Police say that shots were fired in the area just after midnight, around 1 a.m. We do have a live crew that is there on the scene this morning. This is right in the Church Street area, of course, as lots of people were celebrating Halloween celebrations last night. So we'll give you the latest when we come back.
Good Day Orlando is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Good Day Orlando is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Good Day Orlando starts now with breaking news.
Well, breaking news this morning, video showing people running for their lives after a shooting in downtown Orlando overnight. Welcome back, everybody. It is 4:30 on this Friday morning, November 1st. I'm Deborah Cho. We are expecting an update on that shooting in about 15 minutes or so. Joining us live from that scene right now is Marley Capper. She's been there all morning long, trying to get the latest for us so far. And Marley, I know we still have very limited information as far as like who was hurt, if anybody was hurt, if any suspects are in custody, but we do know it's still a very active scene behind you.
Deborah, good morning. It's a very active scene. Let's paint the picture for you. It's pretty empty behind me now, but if you take a look on your screen, you can see the hundreds of people packing the streets, running for their lives. I'm on the corner of Orange and Jefferson. Let's step out of the way so you can get a better look. I'm going to have my photographer zoom in, and I want you guys to notice those little yellow markers there. Those are the evidence markers. You can see them collecting evidence, setting those down. You can still see all of that crime scene tape as well. They are gathered down just a block past where I am. There's a crime scene unit on scene. There's been lots of officers posted up on all corners of downtown Orlando. We've been driving around. We've seen officers everywhere. Now, when we first got here around 2 in the morning, there was tons of people still in their Halloween costumes out and about trying to walk and get to their cars. It was very chaotic. People were running. We've seen people crying. It's been a very busy morning. Here's one woman that we talked to.
Multiple gunshots, firing. It was really loud. Everybody was scared. Everybody was running in multiple directions. Nobody knew what was going on until people were either saying to stay indoors or to get out. Certain clubs were kicking people out. Certain clubs were locking everyone in.
That's the story a lot of people have told me. We talked to 2 people who are bartenders, and they said that they had to hide. They didn't see the shooters, but they heard gunshots. So they said that it was a very tense and scary moment having to hide, seeing all of these people run for their lives. So we're still working to get more information. This investigation is, of course, ongoing. Coming up at 4:45 this morning, we have a crew at the Orlando Police Department headquarters. There's going to be a press conference there. Hopefully we're learning more information then, so make sure you stick with Fox 35. We are one of the first on scene, and so we're going to bring you those updates on air and online. But for now, Deborah, reporting live in Orlando, Marley Capper, Fox 35 News.
Alrighty, Marley, thank you. Yeah, of course, we're going to stay all on top of that, especially because we know there's so many people that were downtown, Brooks. Let's go ahead and switch, though, to weather. Time now is 4:32. How's the weather looking for today?
Well, we've got a couple of stray showers around today, but otherwise a really pleasant Friday lay ahead weather-wise. We've got a southeast flow coming in off of the Atlantic, so on Fox 35 5 storm tracker radar. A few very light showers this morning at 4:30 a.m. rolling through Harmony, up 192 heading into St. Cloud along the East Lake Toho shores there, and also in Pine Grove and New Eden. Our chance for rain is running at about 20% today, and like yesterday, just a couple of sprinkles around. Here's a live view from Lake Fairview. We're at 68 degrees. Winds are almost calm. They're out of the southeast about 4 miles per hour. We've got 61 this morning in Gainesville, 70 in New Smyrna Beach, 74 in Cocoa Beach. And at the bus stop this morning, this Friday, we've got to get back to school. Hopefully the kids got some sleep after all that candy last night. 20% chance for a shower at 8 o'clock and 67, otherwise 83 this afternoon. Coming up, we've got to track the tropics because we've got a possibility of a system developing in the Caribbean or in the Gulf next week. That'll be preceded by a high risk for rip currents this weekend and a little bit of rain. I'll show you the latest coming up. Deborah, back to you.
Alrighty, Brooks, thank you. Well, developing this morning, the spotlight is on the police department's work, and it's all over video recorded this year. We're talking, of course, about Kissimmee. This all led to an excessive force investigation into a police officer. Now, the officer was indicted on felony battery charges more than a year later. Earlier this week, the chief resigned, and 10 other officers are also now being investigated. Fox 35's Manny Martinez spoke to a judge. Well, we have some new details about a former Disney employee who's accused of hacking into the company's online menu system. He allegedly made changes to the menus after he was fired from the park. Well, Michael Shower is facing federal charges for adding profanity to the menu, changing food prices, and alerting allergy warnings to make people believe that some were actually safe to eat if they had a certain allergy. Now, Shower was terminated from his job as menu production manager at Disney back in June. Investigators believe he kept logging into the system, though, through a private network and then caused chaos up until September.
Just because you don't have the same machine doesn't mean you can't access the same service. So he must have kept some information about how to access that VPN remotely, whether it's from a work computer or a different computer.
Now, investigators also accused him of reportedly trying to log into his former co-workers' accounts. Disney says that his actions cost them tens of thousands of dollars. He will be in court next week. Well, 4 Lake County deputies were recognized with the Award of Valor for their actions during the deadly ambush that happened back in August. Now, one of those deputies, you might remember his name, Stefano Gargano. He was shot that night while trying to rescue Deputy Bradley Link, who unfortunately died. Another deputy who was also shot, but he's now going to be okay. The 3 other deputies who were honored also all helped get Deputy Gargano out of the home, and they also dodged countless bullets. So glad that they're all doing okay. Meanwhile, the woman accused of orchestrating that entire ambush is pleading not guilty. Julie Solpizio is being held in Lake County Jail without bond. Her husband and 2 daughters were found with self-inflicted gunshot wounds to their heads. True Health Medical Center is starting a domestic violence campaign after one of their employees was shot and killed. Now, the goal is to spread awareness and provide resources to help put an end to that violence. Eunice Rodriguez worked for the company in Orlando, and she was gunned down in the parking lot, allegedly by her estranged husband. Now, the company released a statement saying that she was, quote, not just a dedicated member of our team, she was a mom, a daughter, and a friend. Her estranged husband does remain behind bars. He is charged with first-degree murder. And if you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, there is help available. You can actually call the national hotline 24/7. That number is on your screen. You can also text that number as well. Well, now to a health alert. Another case of West Nile virus was found in Marion County. The Florida Department of Health says it was actually locally acquired. That brings the total to 4 cases in 3 months. The county is working on spraying areas to cut down the amount of mosquitoes. Health officials say to empty anything that holds water at least once a week, use bug repellent, and keep those screen windows in. And coming up on Good Day Orlando, of course, we are taking a live look through our downtown Orlando camera where a presser is expected in about the next few minutes. This is all, of course, after a shooting investigation in the downtown Orlando area near Church Street. Shots were fired. We don't know if there was anybody injured or if there was someone injured, how many people. We need to know suspect information. So still a lot of questions this morning, but this is still a very active scene. So if you know anybody in the downtown Orlando area, they are asked to, of course, stay inside. The time now is 4:39. We'll be right back.
decide 2024. For the latest information on local and national races, depend on Fox 35, your home for election coverage.
Welcome back. Thousands of homeowners are ripping up their floors and walls after Hurricane Milton and Helene. And that also comes with a headache dealing with insurance, contractors, and permitting. Fox 35's Evan Moon spoke with two homeowners who are selling their home as is. Time now is 4:45. Yeah, Brooks, it still amazes me, after all these hurricanes, people, they want to leave because we're done, but you're always going to find somebody that's going to want to buy that slice of paradise here in Florida.
And cynically, what do they say about suckers being born every day? Yeah, there's that too. But it's true, I mean, you live on the beach, there's the risk. It's paradise. We love it. We love beachfront living, but it comes with risk. And if you're ready to assume the risk, you have the funds to assume the risk, all the power to you. But, occasionally there's going to be issues, as we saw there, and with age and income changes, the appeal can change as well and can fade. So as she finds a brighter shore somewhere else, somebody else will no doubt scoop it up and build it up. So that's just the reality here in Florida. Meanwhile, let's look outside right now. We've got some showers coming in from Osceola County. These are moving northwest into St. Cloud. A couple of sprinkles running up 192 right now. Otherwise, beyond the chance for a little bit of rain this morning, like around Kissimmee, we've got a pretty beautiful day on the way today. Here's a live view from Lake Fairview, where we've got a pretty fair view there. Yeah, the water is calm. 66 degrees right now. We've got 61 degrees in Gainesville, 74 in Cocoa Beach, and a good day to ride. Yeah, it's going to be a great day for that. 71 degrees at 9, up to 83 degrees by 4. A beautiful day today. Coming up, though, we're going to talk about some changes. We've got a tropical system that may be trying to develop in the Caribbean. We go from 67 to 9 up to 83 this afternoon. All right, let's take a look at what's going on right now. We've got a wind out of the northeast, about 5 to 10 miles an hour inland, up to about 15 miles per hour at the coastline. We're going to top out about 85 today in Orlando, 83 degrees today in Melbourne. So a pretty nice day. But heads up, if you're going to the beaches, here's a live view from the Hard Rock Hotel camp looking down at Daytona Beach. And we got a lot of wave action going on and a high risk for rip currents today, whether you're going to Daytona Beach or you're going to Satellite Beach. Waves today about 3 to 4 feet. Water temperatures in the mid-70s, air temperature around 80 degrees. All right, speaking of the water, we got a 60% chance of development here over the next week or so in the Caribbean, and a 10% chance in this little section of the Southwest Atlantic. We're not quite done with the hurricane season yet. A system could form this weekend. It could bring some rain to our region late next week, but there's nothing imminent. There's nothing to track right now, so we're just looking at surrounding environmental conditions to determine what may happen, what the potential may exist. And we've got some really hot water here down in the Caribbean, but whatever forms as it moves into the Gulf, it's going to encounter much cooler water and no fuel for the fire. So it'll either weaken or just dissipate completely as it moves in, if it even forms. But yeah, there's a chance here with the ridge backing off a little bit of the Atlantic that this comes a little bit closer, bringing with it a little bit more rain. But after we had the storm surge in the Gulf Coast from Debbie, we had it from Helene, we had it from Milton. It's got people moving from the beaches. They've had enough of it, right? We saw that story of the lady there in Reddington Beach, and there's a possibility here if this all comes together that we have another issue with some higher tides that could lead theoretically to some at least minor storm surge across parts of the Gulf Coast. If this was to come together, this would be about a week from today. This would be next Thursday. Today's Friday, obviously, but it just shows you the potential here. I mean, we'd have to watch that. So yeah, that's the reality of Gulf Coast or Atlantic Coast living here in Florida. Well, we fall back for the time change coming up this weekend. That happens on Sunday morning at 2 a.m. So we're going to have an early sunset at just 5:38 p.m. And looking ahead to Tuesday for the election, it looks to be pretty decent for election weather. A couple of showers can't be ruled out. We'll see highs in the mid-80s. Okay, here's my 7-day forecast. We fall back for the end of daylight saving time on Sunday morning. Sun rising at 6:39, sun setting at 5:38. Otherwise, election day Tuesday, chance for a few showers. The temperatures are remaining above normal by 3 or 4 degrees. Typical high about 80 to 81. We're going to top out in the mid-80s. The chance for rain I mentioned from that possible tropical system would arrive late next week, so we're giving it a 50-50 chance. Well, let's take a look at our Skyfox traffic this morning. On the roads, we're looking decent, no major incidents, but there is a slight delay coming in on I-4 eastbound from Polk County, Four Corners area. Once you get up to the attractions, it's normally a 15-minute ride from the attractions to downtown. Right now, it's about a 30-minute ride. So heads up there. Hopefully, everything clears away. There's a little bit of planned construction a little bit earlier on, and the inevitable incidents that follow. Okay, that's the latest. Deborah, back to you.
All righty, Brooks, thank you. Well, get ready for liftoff. UCF is set to host Arizona this weekend for the annual Space Game. The night's Cosmic Couture is pretty hard to beat with its out-of-the-world theme. Fox 35's Jessica Ely takes us behind the scenes to see the inspiration behind these interstellar looks.
Showing the past.
All right, we had to break out of that because we have the Orlando Police Chief talking about that downtown Orlando shooting. Let's listen in.
Good. Everybody ready? Yep. All right. Good morning. The Orlando Police Department is currently investigating a shooting with multiple victims in downtown Orlando. At approximately 1:07 a.m., officers reported shots fired at Central Boulevard and Orange Avenue. Within minutes, a second report of shots fired was called in south of Washington Street on Orange Avenue. At this time, we are aware of 8 total victims. 2 are now deceased. 6 other individuals who were shot were transported to ORMC for further treatment. Those victims are currently in stable condition. Shortly after the report of shots fired, a shooting suspect was located and taken into custody at Washington and Orange. He has been identified as 17-year-old Jalen Dwayne Edgar. He was previously arrested for grand theft in 2023. This is still an active investigation. As we gather more information, we'll provide you with another update. So what we're going to do now is go over some videos. You start with it. Yep. So this is Orange and Central. And if you follow where the blur is, play back a little bit.
Yeah.
So you see the suspect will walk up, shot fired right there. Everybody takes off running. The suspect takes off running towards Court Street.
One more time, Chief.
Yeah, go to the other video. We'll play more at the end of the video. Then the suspect reappears near Orange and play that one back, that was quick. He reappears at Orange and Washington, and then shots are fired again. If you watch the back of this pickup truck, the police pickup truck, watch the officers start moving. The officer identifies the suspect. He witnessed the shooting, takes the suspect down. Other officers come to assist. Now we're going to the officer's body cam. You tell the shots are fired, people start to move quickly. The officer sees the suspect, moves in on him, and takes him into custody. So as you can see from this video, downtown's a very busy night. Halloween's one of our busiest nights of the year. Always is. Usually the Halloween night itself is busy, and then the Saturday after Halloween is always almost just as busy. We're doing anywhere from 50 to 100,000 people. As you can see from the picture, the crowd's gigantic, and this is just on Orange Avenue. So we're dealing with a very, very large crowd. And during this night, we had about 100 officers who were working in detail, spread out, and as you can see in all the videos, the officers responded very quickly. The officers did a great job. They responded right when they heard the shooting. You know, as everybody else is running, they're not. They're sitting in a position looking for a shooter. They found a shooter, and they took him down. But right now, I'll take your questions.
Do you have any idea about the motive behind it?
No, we have the suspect. Of course, that'll be a part of our investigation, part of the interview process. As you can see, it was very quick. There wasn't a lot of conversation, so we'll figure out if he knew him or not.
At one time, there was a ban on weapons in downtown around bars and so forth. Was that still in effect, or how does this equipment get in?
So I guess you're talking about when we used to do the closures, and we had the dogs and all that was going on downtown. That all went away with sort of the law changed. When the law changed, and basically you can carry a weapon on a public street as long as you don't meet certain criteria. As long as you meet certain criteria. So when that changed, we can no longer do that.
When the state law changed.
When the state law changed, you saw that we changed how we did downtown. We can no longer do the dogs to limit what we had downtown. I know law enforcement's always changing. We are working with the city, working with the clubs downtown to figure out if there's something else we can go to sort of keep it secure down there. As you can see, with that many people down there, we have no idea what people have, on their person, if they have grudges against somebody. Most people are down there to have a great time, and of course, you always get those few people who come down there who have different things on their mind.
Are the victims known, or are they considered random to the suspect?
We're unsure of that. We're still doing an investigation. He's still being interviewed.
And not in the club itself. Was any of these clubs equipped with any of the metal detectors? Was he frequenting any of the clubs downtown?
No, we pretty much watched him come from where he parked his car and went into, and we didn't see him going to any clubs. He pretty much walked into downtown, walked up the street, and did what he did.
What type of weapon was recovered?
A handgun.
Do you know the information on that?
No, not right now. We'll release that later. That'll be a part of the investigation.
Fired shots, or were there other shots fired by officers?
No officers fired any shots. We believe he's the only suspect right at this time whose shots were fired from.
Can you speak to the degree your law enforcement officers were acting? That law enforcement officer sees the suspect, identifies them, and immediately takes them to the ground. Kind of talk the mindset of what your law enforcement officers are encountering in downtown Orlando.
So, in downtown Orlando, but throughout the whole city, and throughout anywhere with law enforcement officers, they're always trained. They're always ready to act. As soon as they heard the shots fired, you can watch any of these videos. None of the officers, went the other way. They didn't go with the crowd. Most of them, got a little bit of cover between them. They started scanning, seeing what was going on, and then they moved. They took action to keep everybody else safe, and that's what these officers do, and that's their job, and they did it, and I'm very proud of them.
How was it they identified him as the suspect? Did they see the shot actually being fired at the Washington?
The officers saw the second shots being fired at Washington. Nobody saw the first one on Central. We used the cameras, of course, to see that, play it back, because we have that capability of playing back at major intersections. We played the camera back, saw the shooting happen. We put out his description right away, but then officers saw the second shooting happen. Because, you saw there was like 5 officers right there looking in that direction when he came and started shooting. And he shot multiple people right there.
Can you talk about that, just how brazen this guy is? There are police officers everywhere. He still has...
Yeah, whatever his mindset was, he was going to shoot no matter what. He walked by multiple officers. We followed where he came from. He walked by at least 10 officers, walked directly by them, kept moving past the officers. So he knew what he was going to do, what he thought in his mind was going to do. It's unfortunate. Some people see somebody they don't like, somebody that they have some sort of beef with, and they take whatever action they're going to take.
To your point, when he was walking by that first initial video that you showed us, he almost walks by the victim and then leans back and points back, fires a shot, and then takes off. Are you guys investigating whether or not he may have known this person had been following him around that evening?
Yeah, that's a big part of what we're looking at. Did he know him? Did he just happen to stumble across somebody who's one of his enemies for whatever reason? So that's all a part of the case. But he definitely, you saw him, he looked back, saw him, walked by him, he knew exactly who he saw, shot quickly, and then moved out.
Did it look like, to be clear, was one person who died at the first scene and the second person at the second scene?
Yes.
Did it look like he followed people from the first scene to the second one, or did he just happen to see people at the second scene?
I think he just ran into the second scene because he ran down Court Street, came back up an alley, and popped back out. And there were people still just walking and running in different directions. Unless that person just happened to be there, from what we saw, he was walking. He was walking deliberately on Court Street, not really following anybody until he saw what he was looking for when he popped back out on Orange.
So twice he saw people, possibly saw people.
Yeah. But that's all part of our investigation. We'll be looking into all that kind of stuff and see, what it's about.
We see that the state attorney's here tonight, and we're dealing with a 17-year-old suspect with very serious type of criminal activity taking place. Do you or the state attorney want to comment on anything like that?
As far as, we definitely make the arrests. Of course, juveniles do things like this, and we give the case to the state attorney, and he does, he handles it and does a great job with it and decides how we're going to prosecute. It's up to him if he wants to say anything about that. He's more than welcome to.
What can you tell us about the victims, male, female?
I don't have the information now. We'll get it all to you, but I know the victims they range all from 19 to 39 years old.
All right. Good morning, everyone. So we received a call shortly after the scene was secured. My chief of homicide is down there working with OPD and their detectives, And so this is just part of the collaborations that we put forth in our administration to make sure that we respond quickly to the needs of our community. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with the several victims that we have tonight. And so we're going to do our job to make sure that we secure justice for those victims.
Obviously, very early stages, but with a situation like this, 2 people dead, the magnitude of people out there, would you be looking to try this juvenile as an adult potentially?
Yeah, we're definitely something that's on the table. Obviously, from the multiple victims and the brazen nature of the crime, there's several aggravating factors and that will fit inside the matrix to charge him as an adult. But we have to get to completion of the investigation first, get the case turned over to us, and then we'll take appropriate action at that point.
The chief talked about a previous arrest for the suspect. Do you have any information about that? And did he go through the system already? Had he been adjudicated?
I'm not sure about it yet. Like I said, I received a call at 2:30 this morning. Was woken up and got dressed and came out here to make sure that we're going to do our job.
This is a uniform we're not used to seeing you in. How did you prepare for this call when you got it, and what did you think and what did you do?
So you got reported as a mass shooting. So we have certain protocols for me as the chief executive of the agency. So I got put on what I'm told to put on for that situation. But this is we're ready to respond. So that's kind of my whole tactic. So I prepare myself to respond if I need to.
Do you think this suspect will be charged as an adult or a child or minor?
I think that, like I said again, based on current information we have right now, there's several aggravating factors that would lead us to charge him as an adult, but we need to get to the bottom of the investigation first to figure out what exactly is the reason why this happened, which also plays a role in what type of charges that he's going to be facing later on.
This seems to all be coming to fruition quickly. How important is the communication and collaboration between both police department and your officer?
It's essential. I think Chief did a press conference some weeks ago. I think you were clearing at 100% of the homicides, and that's based a lot on the collaboration between my office and the OPD. Our ability to work early on in those investigations, advise and make sure that we're not missing anything and that we're making, quick, clear arrests and solving cases makes our community safer. So that's part of one of the things I really wanted to get our agency up and running when I came into office last year.
Chief Smith, you mentioned that Halloween night and the Saturday after is usually one of your busiest nights. So any preparation already kind of going on to put extra patrol out tomorrow night or just kind of essentially prevent you doing something like this?
Well, we will definitely look at if we need to add other officers, but we're almost at 100 now. So, we have officers pretty much, as you can see, on every block, multiple officers on every block, bike patrols in between, our TAC units that are driving in the parking garages looking for, suspicious activity. We think we do a very good job. Our last major shooting was right before it began, about 2 years ago, with multiple people casualties. So, downtown's very challenging, but the officers work very hard. But we will definitely meet and look and see if we can add any more resources to the next couple of days just to get through, especially Saturday night, to get us through Saturday night.
Chief, you've taken so many steps over the years since you've become the chief and taken a pretty strong stance on security in downtown Orlando. What do you have to say to the parents that are out there that a 17-year-old is out with a firearm on Halloween night? Community tends to put this responsibility on law enforcement, but at the end of the day, this suspect came from a home somewhere. Can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, this is something that we can't do alone. I could put 200 officers down there, and like you saw in the video, he walked by multiple officers. He didn't really care. So it does start outside of what my job is. It starts, and I don't want to say it starts in the home, but it starts in our community coming together to work together and figure out a better way for people to solve their problems, because it's just one of those kind of things that we all know shooting people solves nothing. This person right here threw away his life. For what? for some little beef or whatever's going to come out in the investigation. We all know it's not going to be the most serious thing in the world when you take somebody's life. So it's one of those kind of things we need everybody's help, but we'll continue to do what we do. We'll continue to provide heavy security downtown and have a large presence and be ready for anything that comes.
Piecing together this video surveillance, can you tell if there was any kind of altercation leading up to this, or where was his path? Where was he coming from, and how long was he downtown?
So we're going to release all that. He actually wasn't downtown that long before this happened. But the good thing about our surveillance system, we have a way of we pretty much can see where he came from, where he walked to, who he met up with, any conversations that happened, and sort of tell by how long they're standing in front of each other what actually happened. So that's going to come. That's part of investigation. It's all going to come out in the next day or so. And there'll be more updates. There are more videos, so we'll be releasing those. We do have to clean some videos up. We have to notify next of kin in a lot of cases. Our hearts do go out to the victims. It's a terrible tragedy that happened, but we do have to notify next of kin, and there'll be more videos that we can release and get it all out to you, including his history and everything on him.
Two more questions. That's it. You mentioned 2 deaths, but the 6 other people who were injured, were they shot by the suspect?
Yes, they were shot by the suspect there at OMC. The last report we got was that they're all in stable condition so far.
Innocent bystanders?
We assume, but it's hard to tell because he was in such a big crowd right there. It's hard to say who his actual target was.
Are they cooperating?
The victims? I'll have to find out about that. I'm not sure. I know most of them. We did get information from them, but a lot of this we had officers witness what happened, which is a lot easier for us for testimony. Then we, of course, we have the cameras and all that, so it's a lot easier. But we are, we will talk to everybody like we always do and get their statements and exactly what happened.
Should we confirm male, female victims?
We'll get all that to you. I know it's a mix. All right. Have a great night.